Hey y'all. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you who want to start a virtual assistant business in 2024. We're almost in Q4 and it is not too late to start your virtual assistant business. And I'm going to be giving you the tips, the tools, the resources, all the things to help you get started as a virtual assistant in your career. And so first thing first, a little bit about me. I have been a virtual assistant for about 12 years now. I started and officially launched my business and went full blown in it about 4 years ago. And I specifically specialize in executive assistance, operations, management, and customer service management. And so, usually, if I'm working with a client, those are the three services that I'm providing for them. When I first started out, I also was mostly doing social media management and just regular executive assistance. But since then, I have niched to those three specific things. Who have I worked with? I've worked with service-based professionals. So I've worked with other virtual assistants, other operations or online business managers. I've worked with tech VAs. I've worked with who else? Other executive assistants. I've also worked with behavioral health clinicians. I've worked with nonprofit founders and directors. I've also worked with ministry leaders, social media influencers, and marketing agencies. And so those are some of the people who I've helped support work in their zone of genius and do the things that they love to do and maximize their time, their impact, and their revenue by supporting them with their back ends and things of that nature. Okay, so let's get into it. So you want to start a virtual assistant agency or business in 2024. Is it possible? Of course. Of course it's possible. And the first thing you need to know is to understand the basics of virtual assistance. That means someone who is providing administrative support on its simplest terms remotely. Okay. And so that means you're offering tasks like email management, calendar management, travel management, the basics of the basics, and you're doing it from anywhere in the world remotely, right? That's the basics. Now, a virtual assistant can also begin to niche down and begin to offer specialized skills. So as you begin to grow, as you begin to do the general administrative tasks, you may find, oh, I like to do this more. Oh, I like to support here more. Oh, this is my area. This is my thing. This is the thing that gives me life. And once you figure that out, you can begin to niche down, right? And so for you, it may be social media management. For me, like I said, it was executive assistance, operations support, and customer service. And so those are my three things that I offer. Some people only focus on one thing at a time. It really depends on you and your skill set. And so the key benefit is the flexibility to work from anywhere. And so that's why a lot of people get into virtual assistants. That's why a lot of people have moved into this space. And so you may be thinking like, man, everybody and their mama a virtual assistant. Is there any room for me? Like there's so many people, y'all, who are looking for virtual assistants. Even though there's so many people, there's not so many yous, right? No one is going to be a virtual assistant who do what you do, how you do it, like you do it, in the way that you do it. They're not going to have your same personality, your same skill set, and what you bring to the table. So yes, there's so many VAs, there's competition in the market, but there's nobody like you. And so once you come up with your value proposition, who you serve, what you serve them by doing, and why you're the best candidate for the position, period. That's enough said, right? And so that's the virtual assistant piece. Let's talk about the skills that you need. Okay. So to be a successful VA, there are some skills that you're definitely going to need to develop or want to develop. And so, of course, organizational skills. Most VAs, because there's some people who are like all over the place, but for the majority of VAs, it requires you to have some level of organizational skills because the majority of VAs offer organization. Now, if you're a tech VA, you may not be as super organized. You may have somebody on your team to support you in that space. But if you're a tech VA, you're probably more focused on being able to set up systems, help with the techie stuff. but you may not be as organized, right? So you may have somebody in your team. And so remember that too. As a virtual assistant, you can build out your team. So in the areas that you lack, you can hire somebody to support you in those specific areas. And so I've worked with several niche down people who were VAs, but they specialize in certain services. And I've helped them from an executive assistant standpoint or an operation standpoint. And so organizational skills. So you need to gain those skills. You need to be able to arrive on time for your meetings. You need to be able to have meeting notes. You need to be able to communicate, right, with your clients. You need to know how to clearly and concisely communicate, because that's going to be crucial when you're trying to find clients, when you're trying to retain clients, all of the things. And so especially as a remote person, when you're working from home, when you're working from all over the world, you need to know how to organize your schedule, how to organize your time, and you need to know how to communicate to people when you're in office, when you're out of office. You need to be able to communicate your boundaries professionally. You need to be able to communicate. I know a lot of people talk about, how VAs from overseas are taking over because their prices are so cheap. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to communication, there are skills that they lack that you may be able to use that to your advantage when you're communicating. And so don't think about it as the market is oversaturated. Like I said, what do you bring to the table that will make someone want to hire you over that person whose services cost half what you charge? Okay. Tech savviness. There needs to be some level of tech savviness. Like, you need to know how to send an email. You need to know the different features in Google Workspace, because most people use Google, right? So you need to be familiar with tools like Microsoft Office with the Google Workspace. You need to be familiar with the main tools that everybody and their mama are basically using. So you need to be familiar with some understanding of a PM tool, a project management tool, or CRM tool. You need to have some familiarity with communication tools, so Slack, Voxer. If you know the basics of the basics, you should be good for the most part when it comes to the techie stuff. And then also there's videos on YouTube, and most companies have their own, knowledge base or learning base where you can learn their products. So like if you go to Asana or ClickUp, Wix, they all have their own learning products where you can learn their products in and out. You can also go on YouTube and just learn how to operate these different systems, because some clients will require you to have some kind of a proficiency in the tools that they specifically use. And you don't want to be lying out here saying, oh yeah, I know how to work HoneyBook, and you've never opened HoneyBook in your life. You don't want to be saying, oh yeah, I know how to use Salesforce, but you've never even heard of Salesforce, right? And so you want to also be integral as a VA. And we'll talk about some soft skills, but when it comes to those soft skills, like I said, you need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to be professional, you need to be integral, and you need to be able to be confidential. But then also you need to know how to solve problems. As a virtual assistant, one of our main roles is to find problems and create the solutions for those problems. And so being able to take up challenges when they arise. If you have a client who's like, hey, this issue just came up, can you solve it for me during my lunch? You need to be able to come up with a problem, because there may be somebody else on the team who can actually put the solution in place, but you need to be able to creatively think, to be able to say, okay, this is the problem, this is the solution, right? Like for me, recently, I know one of my clients, we use StreamYard, but she doesn't use it as frequently, right? And so if she's only using it once or twice a quarter, it doesn't make sense for us to be paying for it monthly. My job is to help you maximize your time, your money, and your impact. So why are we paying for StreamYard as much, right? Yes. So for me, I'm not going to let her keep paying month to month for a StreamYard subscription that she only uses 2 to 3 times um, a quarter, right? And so one of the things I love about StreamYard is they allow you to pause their subscriptions for up to 3 months. And so for me, after she's done her thing, I'm like, hey, there's no other recordings or there's no other conversations that we're doing for the next 3 months, let's go ahead and pause it. And then I'll follow up with you in 3 months or a little bit before the 3 month period to see if you have anything that you would like to schedule. If not, we're going to go ahead and cancel it full out. The pause option allows you to keep all of your recordings, to keep all of your settings and all of your uploads, to keep all your platforms connected, all of the things. But if we cancel it, we lose all of that. And once we are ready to do another video, we have to connect everything back together. And so that's one way I can solve, even though it's not a problem, it's something that causes you to lose out on money unnecessarily. Right? So even things like that, if your job is to help your clients maximize their time, if your job is to help your clients maximize their impact or maximize their revenue, you need to be looking at like, these are some inefficiencies in the systems. Here, I want to identify them. I want to let you know about them, and let's come up with a plan. And you can come up with options to that plan, or you can have them, depending on what kind of VA you are. Right. And then last thing I'll say is attention to detail. That's going to be very important, because when you're working with clients, especially those who work with other clients, you need to know what's going on. You need to be able to tackle challenges, but also ensure accuracy, right, in every task that you do. So if you're creating links and all of that thing, all of those things, you need to be able to make sure that your links are linking to the right place. If you're creating packages or you're creating content, you need to make sure that the title matches up with the video. All of those different things. So making sure you're paying very close to detail. If you're scheduling meetings, you need to make sure that meetings aren't overlapping. If you're checking inbox messages, you need to make sure that there's a response to the emails that need a response. Okay. And so those are some things that are going to help you as you start off. Let's get into a few tools. So I already briefly talked about tools, but these are some of the must have tools as a virtual assistant. These are some of the things you're going to really need to be able to know. Like I mentioned, a project management tool. So like your Asanas, your ClickUps, your Monday.coms, your Trellos, those are going to be tasks that help you to manage projects. So if you're someone who offers project management, or if you're someone who just wants to organize your client's life with their daily tasks and all of the things, one of those project management tools are going to be your best bet. So like I said, you can go on YouTube, you can go on their own website, and you can learn how the basics of the basics, how to set it up, what it's used for, so you can be able to communicate that to your clients. Those are the things you're going to need to know. You're also going to want to do something for communication, right? As a boundary, me and my clients, we not texting and we're not calling each other all day, every day, right? But I do use Slack for my communication tool. And so most people use Slack for their communication tools, especially if they're a small business owner, a service-based professional. The majority of them are using Slack, right? And so you want to know Slack in and out. You want to know the difference between, the channels and the groups and all of the things. You need to know how to set it up. You need to know how you want it to be organized for your client in particular, all of the things, right? And that's going to be the best way to communicate. They don't want to go back and forth through no emails all day, every day. And as a VA, if you're working remotely, then you're probably not trying to be on the phone with clients all day, every day. So Slack, you can send a message, you can send a voice message, an audio message, all of the things to communicate back and forth. There's also a tool called Voxer. It's like a walkie-talkie app. So if you have a client and there's someone who wants to be talking all day, but not necessarily in meetings, but they may have something they want to tell you really quickly, they can put that over in Voxer. You can get to it when you get to it, you respond, and y'all are like using a walkie-talkie to talk back and forth, right? Another tool that you need to know is Zoom or Google Meet. Whichever one you want to use, that's totally up to you in your business or your clients, because they may have a particular tool that they want you to use, but that's going to be for your video conferences. That's going to be for your meetings. That's going to be for communications with your clients, for your strategy calls, whatever it is that you're doing. You want to at least know how to use Zoom and Google Meet. You need to know, is there a recording feature? Is there a price? You need to be able to communicate this with your clients. And you need to know this for yourself and for your own business, the internal side of things. LastPass, that is your tool for managing passwords, managing credit card information securely. And so Your client should not be handing you over their passwords just haphazardly, right? Because you just never know. You want it to be safe on your end. You want to be integral. You want to be confidential, and you don't want to get into a situation where they think you're sharing their passwords, that you're manipulating information. I just dealt with an issue with one of my clients who they had hired someone to support them setting up their back end stuff before I started working with them. And he had the passwords and all of the things. And the moment that she decided to stop working with him, he took full control of everything. And now we're starting over. And so you want to make sure that you're able to manage your stuff securely by making sure no one has access to your stuff, that your clients are the full owners of stuff, unless there's somewhere in your contract that is stated clearly that you own everything that you create. I'm not sure how many clients will actually go for that, but that's why you also need a contract, right? That's something that I haven't mentioned, but you need to make sure you're sending out a contract to all of your clients. And then for most people, especially if you're doing like social media management, if you're not a for real graphic designer, like you're using Photoshop and all of the Illustrator, those kind of tools, you need to be able to use Canva on a basic level to create your visuals, to create your social media content, your marketing materials. And if you're helping a client, then also you can use Canva for that. Some people, if you're starting off, you don't want to invest in a website, you can use Canva to create a basic website. You can use Canva to create a portfolio. You can use Canva to create a service guide, those things that will replace what a website would be for you if you invested in one. Okay. So no, you do not have to have a website. You do not have to start off with a logo. You do not need to start off with a trademark. You do not need to start off with getting your LLC and all of those things. Those things are great and they are needed. But starting off, you need to have a client. You need to be bringing in income so that you can be able to invest in those things. Also, you do not have to pay nobody to set up your LLC. You need to figure out your state's things, because it's going to be much cheaper for you to do it yourself by going straight to the state, right? Even with a trademark, I've learned, because I'm in the process of one right now and I haven't had any issues with it. We filed 2 trademarks with lawyers, and we've paid over $2,000 to do it for each one separately. But if you do it on your own, because if you've had somebody file them, you already know basically the process, you already know the different legality terms, you already know how to set it up, you know what words need to be in there, all of the things. So some stuff you can just learn, right? Some lawyers even offer courses on how to set it up yourself, and when you learn to do it yourself, you go from paying $250 per class to you paying $2,500 for one class. And then you realize, like, wait, with the amount of money I just paid a lawyer, if I know what I'm doing, I can do this 10 times. So I can have 10 trademarks for the price of one. You know what I'm saying? So be wise, use wisdom, and make sure you're not just out here listening to all the people who are telling you, yeah, you need to hire somebody to pay somebody $3,000 for a trademark, because the prices are just increasing. Another thing, finding your first VA job. This is one of the most asked questions. This is one of the issues that most people have in their virtual assistant journey. They don't know how to get their first client, because usually when you get your first client, if you're a great VA, it's going to be much more easier to get the second client, because now you have something to work with. You know what services you offer, you know what tools you kind of know, all of those things, and then you can just start doing your thing. So how do you land your first VA gig? Here's going to be a few tips, y'all. You want to create a strong online presence. Okay, so this is somebody who doesn't have a network, doesn't have connections, all of those things. Me personally, I had a network. I was volunteering my services. This was before I even knew that I had a for real skill, and before I even knew what a virtual assistant was. I was already doing the work. So I was already supporting people voluntarily in executive assistance. I was already doing the work. I have been doing the work since I was in high school. And because I already knew, like, I was a secretary in every organization I was in, so I knew I'm very organized. my mom and my family, we're just very administrative people. And so when it comes to those things, some of those gifts I just already had. And so when I started voluntarily offering my services to ministry leaders, to different people that I was already connected with, I just began to grow my skill set. I began to learn how to communicate with stakeholders. I learned how to be a part of meetings with people who, you know what I'm saying, who carry weight, who carry authority, who made decisions. And so those things got me into the door much quicker. Also, internships, serving people is going to be your best bet, y'all. And I know some people don't have the time, but in the season that I was in at that time, I had time to serve people. So I had time to intern. I had time to do it for nothing. And those service opportunities allow me to now get referrals to people who was paying the dollars. Okay. And so for you, that may be how you start. You may have to barter services. You may have to serve. You may have to volunteer. You may have to be an intern so you can gain the skills needed so that you can now promote yourself. Right. Or if you like, hey, I ain't doing none of that, I'm going straight to the money. Cool. Do your thing. So for that part, you may do need to, if you don't have a network, if you don't have a referral, you may have to just start off creating a strong online presence. Another thing people do is join a whole bunch of virtual assistant Facebook groups, or virtual assistant networks and groups where they're dropping, you know, job opportunities. The only issue with those things, if you're in a Facebook group with thousands of other virtual assistants and a job opportunity drops, within 30 minutes, there's already 100 applicants, right? And so now you're in the competition with all of those people versus someone has referred you to their friend, and now you may be in competition with 5 people versus 100. You know what I'm saying? And so there's advantages and disadvantages to all the ways. But it's going to be up to you to basically drive the sale and secure it. Okay. So creating a strong online presence, making sure you're a part of Facebook groups or virtual assistant networks that allow you the opportunity to apply for jobs or even be aware of jobs. Freelance platforms. I know a lot of people are on Fiverr and Upwork now. And so you may be able to position yourself on those platforms to be able to start what you're doing. And the last thing, offer free trial. So a lot of people who are just getting started and are having hard times finding a virtual assistant, they may be on Threads or Facebook and they're saying like, hey guys, I'm offering a free trial for this new offer that I'm putting out. So, for example, let's say you're trying to offer a Google Drive organization trial. That's a service that you want to start launching. You may say, hey, for 2 people, I'm going to do free trials, or you may do it at a discounted rate. You want to be able to offer that and try to at least get 1 or 2 people. So now you can document your process. Now you can have a system set up. Now you can develop a framework. Now you can begin to promote it like, hey, this is what I did. This person had X amount of files in their Google Drive. I was able to organize by doing X, Y, and Z, right? Now you can communicate that, and now you can just push content out based on that offer. And so last thing, and of course, there's going to be so many more things. I'm giving you the basics of the basics of the basics, so this video won't be so long. So I talked to you about setting up your business. I told you that there's ways to do this on a cheaper end, and then there's ways to do it if you got money, right? So once you've secured your first client or your first 1 to 2 clients, and you're now generating income and you're learning how to save your money, you're learning how to reinvest your money, now you can begin setting up your business. You're learning if you even want to do this for real, right? Because I think a lot of people, they hear about it and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good way for me to make money and not have to work a 9 to 5. That sounds like a good way for me to do X, Y, and Z. But then you get into it and you realize, well, I actually hate this, right? Because maybe you hate the service that you've been providing, or maybe you hate the type of client that you've been working with. But now that you've had 1 to 2 clients, really 3 or 4, now you can make a decision based on like, do you want to continue to do this or not? And if so, now you can say if you want to invest, right, in your business. And so when it comes to setting up your business, of course, you want to decide how you want to operate. Do you want to operate as a sole proprietor? That's how I started off. Or do you want to start off as an LLC? That kind of situation. And then you begin to invest in good business tools like QuickBooks, all of those things, because now you need to really manage your money. And then also, like I said, when it comes to contracts, that should already happen before you get your first client. But you need a good contract. You need to make sure that you're able to outline your services, able to outline your payment terms, you're able to outline any important details that your clients are going to need to know. Hey, I only work between these hours on these particular days. Hey, I don't do this. Hey, I won't do this. Hey, you got 30 days or 9 days or 14 days to pay the invoice or the services cease. You need to be able to communicate all of those things in your contract so that your clients can know what they're working with. All right. And so that's it, y'all. If y'all got questions, drop them in the comments and I will be happy to answer your questions for you. And good luck. Well, not necessarily, you don't really need luck, but I pray that you all have favor when coming to finding your client. I pray that y'all operate in integrity. I pray that y'all operate professionally and that you are doing the work to help people really maximize their impact. All right, y'all. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.